Rose, hello and welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you, Cheri, for having me.
It is my pleasure. It has been some time since we have talked to each other.
Yes, it has.
We've had a few things, a pandemic, etc., that have come down the pike. And how are things in that beautiful place that you live in, Jackson Hole?
Jackson Hole, Wyoming is a beautiful place to be at any time of day, any time of season. And it's a great place to work, play, and really just enjoy the outdoors, which is what I love to do in addition to my work, of course.
Yeah. And what got you to Jackson Hole?
Well, that's an interesting story. I basically sold everything I owned, and I decided I was going to become a guide. So leaving the corporate world after, I think it was 11 years, I sold everything and left, and they sent me here. At first I cried because I was landlocked, and I thought, how can I be away from the ocean? This is impossible. And then I saw the mountains, AKA the Tetons, AKA part of Grand Teton National Park. And I fell in what's called Teton love, and the rest is history. So I started my businesses and just started working with clients here in this area and really fell in love with the culture, the businesses, and the active lifestyle of being in Jackson Hole.
Beautiful. And you have even taken on the name of Jackson Hole Rose. And tell me a little bit more about that and what that encompasses for you at this point of your journey.
Sure. So back in 2020, during the pandemic, I was actually selected as a syndicated radio host where my show played in 5 different countries. And the name of the show was Yellowstone Country with Jackson Hole Rose. So that way it gave some some congruence together, because Yellowstone sits above Grand Teton National Park. If you Google that, you'll see that we kind of sit together in one ecosystem. And so I wanted to bring those two things together, and I had my name trademarked. So Jackson Hole Rose is actually trademarked by the United States government, and I have that beautiful little R after my name.
Beautiful. I mean, it is such a magical place. And so that was a dream of yours, right? To have a
Yes.
syndicated radio show. So tell us a little bit more about that and how that came to play and how that's kind of shifting for you now.
Sure. Well, as a child, I was very much into voices, right? So a story I could tell you is when my parents took me to Disney World all the time. I'm originally from the East Coast, and we go down to Florida and be there in Disneyland, Disney World, where everything is animated voices and moving parts and pieces. And I remember being on the monorail with my mother. I was about 7 years old. And I heard this woman say, "Please stand clear of the closing doors." And I went, "Mom, where's that woman? I need to meet her." And she said, "What? Oh, there's no woman. It's just a recording." Right. And so as a young girl, even, my father would take me into the haunted house, and you'd hear, "Hoo-ah, you have to get into the seat and buckle your belt." And I was like, "Dad, who's that guy? I want to see him. Where is he?" And he was like, "There is no guy, make sure you buckle your belt. Come on, we got to get in the ride." So it was always one of these things where I was very fascinated with voices. And so I've had 2 radio shows here in Jackson. One was the start of the community radio station here in Jackson Hole, which started back in 2008. And I had a show called Local Lady Talk, and I did that for 5 years. I wrote, voiced, and produced it. And it was a lot of work, and it was a lot of fun. And then I went to a different radio station, Jackson Hole Radio, and I had a Drive Time with Rose show. So I took requests and was on the radio for everyone to hear. A lot of people knew who I was. It was a classic rock station, and that was very fun. And then in 2020, I was asked to do a syndicated radio show. And I thought, they really want me to do this? This is crazy. I don't know anything about new country music. But I just got that gumption up, that whole fake it till you make it thing. I was like, you know what? I can learn about new country. And boy, did I ever. So I did that for 1.5 years. And I actually had a wonderful producer that I worked with in New York City. And we worked together. But the money was not there for this particular show. And as much as we tried all our different marketing efforts to make it kind of go, it just wasn't moving in that direction. And so I had a larger company here in Jackson Hole approach me to ask me if I would be interested in doing more video with their clients and being part of that persona of just being a part of the community, which I love, because video is one of these things where I feel a lot of business owners shy away from. Oh, I don't want to be on video, and oh, I don't look good, and oh, I talk bad, and oh, there's always some type of excuse, right? Even I have those excuses as well. I asked you previously, I said, are we going to be on camera, or are we going to be just podcast? And you were like, no, video. So, my main role, I feel led to do now, is to do live video, which is different than typical video, right? Because it's involving all the messiness, right? Live video is what it is. And
yeah,
it
there's no
is
getting out of it
at the moment. Right.
Right.
So I have left the syndicated radio show and moving. I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Radio is filled with big, fat, happy cats. They kind of like the way things are done now. Now, being a mover and a shaker like I am, I don't really do well with people saying, well, you got to keep it in the box.
Right. Yeah.
Got to keep it here. And I'm like, but I have these ideas. I want to go here and there, And they're like, yeah, maybe later. So live video and streaming video and video in general is really that wild west of, remember when social media first started and a lot of people thought it was a fad. This is kind of where we are with live video. People are starting to get used to it. We have some influencers showing how good it can be to just be live and just be who you are. So that is about who I am, merging my businesses together, because I do have a particular place where I help clients with their social media. So I'm moving more towards the live vision and helping, entrepreneurs and small business owners with being on camera and what that means for you and how you incorporate that in to a really cool social media strategy that makes you look great, just your business in general.
And what do you see is like the biggest hang up that people have? And I know that we have many when it comes to this, like what just stops people in their tracks?
I think it's watching themselves on camera. And so, it's kind of like looking at yourself in a mirror while you're talking. You're like, I hate this wrinkle over here. And why do I talk like that? Or why does my mouth do that? So it's the criticalness of how we look and when we speak and how our hair looks. And oh my gosh, I didn't know my hair was sticking out over there and that whole time. But who cares? It's about your message. It's about your content. It's about your audience and serving. So that's really where I feel people, they look. I'll tell you a funny little anecdote, right? I go to my dentist and I go, like I looked at this thing. It's all the way like this. He goes, you're looking too close. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Right. So it's almost like you're looking too close. People want to know that you're a real person. As you know, Cheri, we've been in the business a long time. People like to do business with people that they know, they trust, that they know are real. We have a lot of things happening with AI. We have a lot of things happening with fake accounts, fake news, these types of things, they affect people's perception on just internet in general or what's online. Do you trust it? And so there's a lot of things that, we can do by just researching someone, which, I was just in Germany for the holidays, which was a really fun time. And I use a dating app. And so, I'm swiping this way and that way and having a lot of fun, kind of looking at the guys like, oh, I like this guy. Oh, not that guy. Oh, look at this guy. And then I almost went on a date with someone. But when I found out that he was actually teaching other men how to trick the app, how to widen the radius so that women would appear in their, in their app, I was like, no, that is not that is not what I want, right? So even with things that we think are so simple, like, oh, it's just an app, and oh, I'm just, seeing who I can meet. Sometimes those things aren't even real either. So my big thing is that taking that leap from radio to video for me is a very sensitive one. As a young child, I would always perform, and I was always singing and doing all these things. And when I went to college originally for TV and radio. And then when I was about 20, the very tender age of 20, as we know, we were all 20 at one time. We're a little tender back at 20. I was told that I would live out of a dumpster if I thought that I would ever be on radio or television. So for me, this is almost like a big coming back around. Like, this is really who I am. This is really what I want, but it's also to be authentic and to help people, right? So that's kind of where I am with it.
I really see it. It's like the dream beyond the dream. Like, you had this one dream, and now this is like, and as we pay attention to what life gives to us, it's not always in this perfectly, groomed path. And I love how you've paid attention. And I'm really curious, like, so instead of just doing video, this live video, so you have to be in the moment, how do you see that playing out? Do you see it on particular platforms? How do you see that?
Yes, and I see it with the influencers. So right now, I've been studying influencers and how they do everything, in addition to how they speak, the different types of trends that they see and that they speak on. And I was just listening to something last night where this gentleman just hit my heart so hard. And he talked about, these different things about getting on live and just being yourself and how that's okay. And for him, because he's in the upper echelons of, what we would think an influencer is, millions of followers, all this good stuff. And he said, you know what? I always find that the videos I just do randomly on my camera do better than sometimes the professionally edited things that I put together. Now, you know why? Is because COVID happened. And what happened? No one could get together and do like a professional video. So these people were getting on camera on their phones, on TikTok, right? TikTok changed the world during COVID, in addition to YouTube. I mean, each platform has a place for video. So you just have to kind of see where your audience,
right?
yeah. Where your audience is existing, what you'd like to do, how much you'd like to do. And, if you have a team of people, are you doing it by yourself? There's a lot of different things that you can think about. There's also apps that will allow you to broadcast it on each of the platforms. So there's lots of different choices now. It's not just do A and then do B. It's like do A, which is the recording or the live, and then do B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, or K, right? There's so many options. And so my focus with regards to business owners is allowing them to see all those choices and allowing them to feel what feels right to them, because someone might just say as a business owner, yeah.
Stop for 1 second. Sorry, the phone is ringing. Hold on. My apologies. All right.
That's okay.
Okay, keep going.
I forgot what I was saying. But we can just start
as business owners, right? Okay.
Right. So just as business owners, you have a lot of choices. And so sometimes people don't realize how many choices and what makes them excited for that choice. You have people telling them, well, you have to do this, and you got to do it this way. And well, I did it this way. And so you need to do it this way. And this is how you do it. And I don't believe in that cookie cutter stuff. Everyone is different. Every business is different. Everyone has a different meaning in life. Like, why are you here? Who is your audience? What are you talking about? How can you help them? All these things differ in how your content will be related to what audience. And does that work better on YouTube, or does that work better on TikTok or Instagram, LinkedIn, right? They're all just different platforms for us to use to reach our audience and to help people, and again, serve.
And again, so there is something in the live format of it that triggers that what do you want to call it? Just that whole piece of being frozen, of like, I have nothing to say, there's nothing to talk about, there's nothing, I just do what I do. And how can I talk about it?
Well, there are ways to think about the content, or, have a little sticky that says, I'm going to do a live about this, and you have it here, or you're like, okay, I just need to write down 3 bullet points about what I want to talk about. I'm going to talk about this, this, and this. Okay. Or I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to tell a story, then close it with this. And it's really like, this is how simple it is, a Post-it. And sometimes when you do the lives enough, you don't need the Post-it anymore. And really, it's just you talking to the camera. Another thing is that a lot of people don't know how to talk to the camera, right? So I hope that I'm looking at you right now, and I'm looking at audience members. Because if I was looking over here the whole time while I was talking to you, do you think that that would have a connection with your audience if I were to look this way and talk this way? Probably not. So there's a lot to know about the connection. And really, I know it's this little green dot right here, but it is where you connect with your audience. And so these are the types of things that business owners need to know in order to show their audience that they are authentic, that they are there to help them, that they are there to serve.
And, there's been so much talk about video is where social media is going. Can you talk a little bit about that? And are we there at this moment in time? Is it something we're moving into?
Oh, we're definitely there.
Yeah.
We're definitely there, and especially with live, because the information that I have been reading about and hearing about is that people don't use live as much. And it's going to be used. These are still the early adopters using the live platform. And remember, we don't have a lot of say when it comes to the algorithms that all of these social media platforms pick, right? And live and regular video is in there very strongly. So one of the tips that I give to my clients is, don't ever put a YouTube video on Facebook with a link. Why? Because they're in battles with each other. Facebook does not like Google. Google does not like Facebook. And so why would you put a YouTube link in a post on Facebook? You think that's going to work?
Interesting. Wow.
So you would want to upload that video footage or do a live on Facebook instead, because Facebook wants that as their, as this natural piece that you're giving them. Like, oh, okay, they did a live. They make it very difficult for you to take that live and then take it other places, but there are ways to do that. But again, we also talked about other apps you can purchase that will do, the live all on different platforms at the same time. So there's lots of different options, but Facebook does not make it easy for people to just, put it on other platforms. Let's put it that way.
And do you think that, I know that the algorithm favors Reels. Do you think that the algorithm even favors live more than Reels?
I think Reels are just getting started as well. And Reels is a way for business owners to do something quick and snappy, right? Mm-hmm. So a live video, it depends. What are you videoing in the live? Are you talking? Are you asking for people to respond? Are you just giving FYI? Are you tagging businesses? Are you allowing other businesses to speak? With Reels, it can also be that as well, because everything is morphing and changing. But mainly the Reels are a shorter form of a video, right? So people usually think video is like, I'm getting on the video, I'm going to explain something or entertain or delight. Meanwhile, these shorts are just like, you know, I'm sure you've seen these before where people are cheersing. And so you have two people like, cheers, cheers, cheer. And that's all it is. But they'll get lots of likes because people just like to like that in their feed. Like, oh, that's cool, right? Or, oh, that's a pretty drink. Or, oh, look how dressed up she is, and look how she's smiling, and look at the background with the drink. You know, there can be a million things as to what's happening with the cheersing, right? So we have to think about that in ways of content. Like, how should we prepare our content to be? Do we only need to show our hand and our cup and, you know, doing the cheers? Do we need to show our faces? Do we need to show the background? Do we need to be outside? Do we need to have our product like on our hat or something, you know, something logoed on us? You know, what exactly do we want these videos to show? So there's lots of, again, different choices and things to do. Live just makes it easier for the business owner. You don't have to worry about, you know, what am I going to say? How am I going to do this? Oh, look at the lighting, look at this, look at that. You just go, you just do it. You know, like Nike said, you just do it.
Just do it.
Yes. And so the past year I have just been doing these lives because I have the same thing in my heart too. Like, can I really do this? Do people really care about what I have to say? I'm not sure. And then I doubt myself, and then I won't do a live for a little bit. And I'm like, I need to do those lives because it makes me a better speaker. So even just to get on the live, even just to do it for yourself and practice is something that I teach my clients as well.
Fantastic. And is this something that you work with them for a period of time, like to, as they develop? How does when you talk about working with them,
Sure.
how does that look? What does that look
Yes.
like?
Yes. So I've developed an 8-week program with regards to live video and hitting all the main features as to the questions that would come up or the content you would choose, or like, what do you do with this button, or how do you turn it around? So the technology, these types of things. And so I'm offering that on my new website, which is in development. I'm working with some gals that are much younger than me, and they get my vision, and I am loving it because every page that they show to me, I'm like, yes, that is exactly what I want to show to serve my audience. So one of those things will be video training. In addition to, I do social media makeovers. So in the world of social media, we've been in it for quite a while now, you know, over 10 years. And a lot of people have put their businesses on there, and they have also, you know, put pictures and information and this type of thing, but they might not have looked at it in a while in a cohesive piece, which I call your digital footprint, right, as your business. And so I take a look at that holistically and work with you one-on-one in a 90-minute session and kind of work towards what things that we can change right at that moment, the things that you have to work towards for your change, and talking about and brainstorming all these different ideas for your future of your social media.
Beautiful. And I think that that's something that we tend to get stuck, especially as entrepreneurs, like, you know, well, I just got to do this myself. We talk about it a lot here on the show with the bright, shiny objects, you know, that we're binging here and binging there and going
Yes.
through it. And getting that coaching help and getting that perspective from somebody else, because of the bright, shiny objects that tend to make us go up. And we just saw, you know, somebody said, do this, so we're going to go do that. But maybe it's just not for us. It's not
Yes.
for our target audience. And I think that's what I love about what I'm hearing you talk about. It's that you're helping your clients to develop who they really are, who they're, you know, to bring some, how, you know, like you were saying, just to bring that piece of them to life, that content to life that's sitting there under the surface.
And the best part is that it's not anyone else. They're not pretending to be someone else, or they're not pretending to read a script, and they're not pretending like, I have to do this and I'm so nervous and this and that. It's about a conversation. It's about you. It's about them. Right.
And building their confidence as they go.
Really just a conversation. It's okay to be on video in any form. and just have a conversation. It doesn't have to be, I'm talking as a script now, and I'm doing this now, and I'm selling this now. We know in social media, people don't like to be sold, but if you're offering something that is a value to them or to others that they might know, then this is something that brings a spark, like, oh, what are they doing and how are they doing it? And gosh, I haven't thought about doing video in a long time, or maybe ever, or I keep shying away from it. Maybe this is the year that I really start to incorporate it. I'm not saying, hey, you have to do a live every day, or, be like my Jackson Hole Rose thing and how I am on camera. But there are ways that people can be on camera as themselves and really find joy in speaking to their audience.
Well, and doing things, I mean, even looking at you, for those, I know that some will be listening to this on the podcast, but, we are over on YouTube as well. But just how you've got yourself set up, it's a very simple background, but very elegant. And I just love the white behind you, the white flowers, all of that.
Thank you. Thank you.
And the lighting too, right? Because there's an importance in the lighting and all of that as well.
Yes, I could do a little better, but
Hey.
I did just move into this place. I know it's been 3 months, but still, I know I should have the lighting thing here and, have this over here, but this is a little trick too. Have a little plant, something live. I see you have one too. You put a little plant in the background. It's just something for people to, feel like, oh, this is something living. This is breathing, this type of thing that we're talking about. If people are watching at the same time, they're watching our hand movements, they're watching our eye movements, they're, looking at the way our mouth moves, everything, right? And so they're also looking at the background, which mine is very simplistic.
Right, which is where mine is very busy, very, very busy, but yeah.
Well, I love it. And the colors, like it adds to who you are, right?
Right.
And so this matches my persona and who I am, where I'm wearing something dark, but something light in the background. And you have these colors coming from everywhere, right? That picture in the background, is that something that
this one?
Yes.
My son.
Your son. Yeah. Yes. Very nice. I thought that maybe that was something that was close to you. And these are the types of things when you do videos, or you have your room where you set up your video and where you'll be doing video. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to actually have a place for it either. So Jackson Hole Rose goes out onto the town, and I do lives all over the place. I like to do what's called a 360. So I just take the camera and I move it all around so people can see where I am that day. Right? So there's it doesn't have to be a studio looking thing. It's great if you're in your shop. Great. It's also great if you're at a restaurant with a client, or, whatever fits whatever your business is and what you want to convey to your audience.
Well, and look at all the people that have had successful videos in their car.
Yes. Right? So we know that.
They parked it,
Yes. It's amazing. So the background sometimes, again, it matters for a little bit, where people are thinking like, oh, they're in their car. Okay, that's it. I'm listening. Right?
Totally. So. Yeah. And I just love that, I think the pandemic shifted all of us in so many ways. And for you to be able to have that dream of the radio show, and then now to have that transition to where you really are, because one of the things that you shared with me is one of the reasons you love to get up in the morning is to serve other people. And, so I love that. And to be able to do it in this way, because it is something I know with the many entrepreneurs that I work with, that it's a source of stress, a big source of stress, that, just don't make me do that, anything, but don't make me do video. So, kudos to you, Rose, for stepping out there and taking care of this need.
Thank you. I really do feel like it's my calling to remove those blocks from people, right? Because I've done it for many years with social media. I love working with people that are over 50 specifically, because I feel that they learn differently.
Oh,
Now, not all people over 50, learn a certain way, but a lot of them grew up a certain way with parents that were a certain way. They endured world events in ways that are different than people in their 20s and 30s. And I find a lot of times people in their 50s and above do not like to be in a classroom with people that are in their 20s and 30s. They
it's
don't
really
like it.
interesting that you say that, because both of my children are in their early 30s, and they're very social media and influencers in their own right, and they're always giving me a hard time, and I'm like, but you don't get it. That's not my audience. That's not me. Like, that's great for the millennials, but it's not great for me or the women that I serve in my business. And so yeah, I'm really glad that you brought that point up, because there's a different importance and a different desire out there.
Yes, and the most important point that I want to hit home on is you need to be you.
Yeah.
It's about you in the sense that you have to be comfortable doing it. Otherwise, you're going to hate it, right?
And you'll
So I'm
stop
here
doing
to
it, right?
I'm here to help you love it.
Yeah.
And I'm here to, kind of talk with you about it and talk about what are your blocks and, why is this, or what is it about you on video? Like, how about you send me some, so with the training that I do, I have you do homework, right? And you send me videos about a certain something. And I give you the free reign to do what you want to do. And then I give you some feedback on that. In one part of my life too, I was also a public speaking instructor at the college level. So that was really fun. And I know a lot of different tips and techniques for just great speaking in general.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Well, how about this? Let's have you come back on in a month or so when your program's up and running stronger, and I would love to hear some stories, success stories, and all of
Yeah.
that, the people that you work with, and in the meantime, just anything else that you would like to share before we say goodbye today?
Well, you sent me one question that was, what's the bright, shiny light that gets you out of bed every morning, right? And you said it, serving people, because the reason for my success is really other people's success. And I really do feel that, people are, sometimes they think they can do it all by themselves. And even I myself have a mentor, right? And I work with a woman through the great state of Wyoming, and we work together different things. And she is so wonderful, and she thinks I'm so wonderful. And so we have this wonderful relationship where we bounce these ideas off each other, and it gives me even more excitement to move forward and help my clients and potential clients. So, working towards other people's success is what's always in my mind. So when I have a conversation with someone and say, hey, well, let's just talk about it. I mean, obviously I'm not going to say, okay, sign up, like, let's get you moving. Let's do this. Obviously there would be a conversation in there to have some, discussion about where you're at, where you'd like to be at, and your goals for the future and how I can help.
Cool. All right. Well, Rose, so great to see you and hear all this from you, and look forward to talking to you again sometime soon.
Thanks for having me on the Bright and Shiny. I'm excited for your podcast as well.
Thank you so much.